Corn Warriors is presented by Pivot Bio.
And last but not least, if you want your corn knee-high by July, better get the plant, boy.
On tonight's episode of Corn Warriors, we're taking you down to Alabama to see Chad Henderson, then up to Northern Illinois to see Dan Luepkes. It's wheat harvest time in Alabama, and Chad and his family are taking the crop out. Then we're going to take a look at some Pivot Bio Proven 40 trials with Chad's good friend, Dr. Dan Poster. And then it's up to Northern Illinois, where Dan takes us to look at some knee-high corn and show us his management practices. Mid-season management is all about problem solving. Can these Corn Warriors get to the root cause of some of the problems in their fields? Find out tonight on this episode of Corn Warriors Season 6.
This cannot be loose. When this is hand loose, ain't never good. You know, we talk about stuff not falling off. All we want is something not to fall off the race car or the planter. Well, today, we don't need it to fall off the combine. You wouldn't think we cut like 2 hopperfuls, and this is, I mean, I know that Heath or Corey's watching this thinking, I told you. Guaranteed. Run till it leaks again. We got a sensor out or a broke wire that we just found. We're trying to get started today on another machine. So we're just gonna see if we can get them to run a little bit. We need to get 4 or 5 loads in a bin. So we're just gonna set the variables and the seeds, we're gonna set them up to where they're just close to this one. This one's pretty close to set. Once it gets shined up, heck, I may get lucky and something might actually start working. So when we set the fan drive, we're gonna set it that deep. And it's gonna be, hey y'all, watch this, that deep right there. I marked it on my wheel, on my finger. Turn it, just put it in gear and run it wide open. Cut the machine off. Look. We need just a little bit more. See my mark?
What's your tolerance on that mark?
He said, what's the tolerance on that mark?
100 RPM, 200?
Yeah, this is wide open, so I think I can stick my finger in there at wide open, and then we'll have a permanent mark because it'll be that short. It'll be like wheat harvest, bean harvest, corn harvest. We'll have them all. I'm gonna get this other one. Call me if we don't like it, but he'll be behind you, scratching and digging. We keep him setting the field. He digs so much he'll set the field on fire. Well, I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna make a round with Jackson. That's the one I'm gonna miss if something happens to him. Because he don't, I mean, you know, you're just invaluable not to have somebody, you know, when we done the whole deal, and we talked about him standing behind the planter, that's what keeps all this stuff going. Because when you know one person is walking across here just looking, then you don't have to worry about what you're doing in the cab. Get him.
I'm just Farm Boy Spence. You can find me on YouTube. Farm Boy Spence. I do similar to what y'all do, except no budget, no nice cameras, just me and my iPhone. And a GoPro sometime.
Well, this combine's doing better than that one, so we got to, instead of setting this one to that one, we got to set that one to this one. A bushel of wheat's about $10, $11, and you can throw out 5 or 6 bushels to the acre pretty easy, so you better set it. Combine's just as good as the operator, so you better set it. That may be all you make, especially on years when it ain't that good, you know. In the end, you can't blame it on nobody else when it gets out here, you know. We can blame it on the weather and everything else, but The banker don't want to hear that. He wants you to come in with a check. You always would like to do a little better. So you're never satisfied really. You shouldn't be, because things change. You know, that's the deal now. You know, I used to be tickled to death with 100 bushel corn. Now, if you don't make close to 2, you ain't gonna pay the bills. So expenses and stuff, of course, our seed are so much better than it used to be. Everything we got now is better than it used to be, really, and except prices. But in the end, you like for it to come out where you maybe pay the bills and have a little left over.
So right now we just loaded up Pivot Bio.
The Proven 40 product, which is very cool.
We're out looking at one of our Pivot Bio plots. I like the looks of it.
It's not leaching away in the groundwater. It's not running off when we get a hard, heavy rain.
Not bad, huh? Not bad. The Proven 40 is doing its job.
It's that missing link that keeps my plant where it needs to be.
Pivot Bio passed the test.
So far, the Pivot Bio is checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
So.
All right, so, I mean, obviously, during the day, before today, these leaves are nice and set out, but let's stage this corn. When they talk about V5, V6, V7, we always talk about collars. And a collar is when you get all the way around the stalk, like it's an open collar, like on a suit or shirt or something. So we always start with the bottoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a full collar. 6, that's a full collar. This 7th one here is not a full collar. This would be a full collar. This one's close, probably by tomorrow. So we're V6.5 is where we're at on this corn right now. This corn probably has already determined its rows around. Another couple stages she'll be probably determining length. So very critical time. It's getting really dry on me. As you can see, this corn is curling. We've got good nutrients and good color, but I'm starting to run short on nitrogen. Now it's supposed to be about 100 degrees today, and that's the corn is showing it. But I probably have to put some water to this. We do have pivot on this ground, so if it don't slack off next couple days, we'll have to start watering, which I'd rather not just yet, but we might have to. Really happy with this corn for its stages. This corn is like 34 or 35 days old. Now think about that, since it was planted. So look at the stage of this corn at 34 days old. So this corn is smoking. We're happy with it. What we're gonna try to do with 2 different hybrids out there is stage or give our pollination a little relay effect. So if we can get one shedding pollen a few days ahead of the other, and then the other one kicks in, starts shedding its pollen, it should take that pollen shed another, you know, maybe it'll give us another 3, 4, 5 days. We struggle sometimes getting our tips filled because on these contest fields, it's so dark in there that the sunlight doesn't get down in very well, so the silks don't get out real fast. Well, we're running out of pollen before all the silks get out sometimes. So I'm hoping this helps alleviate that. I think it will. So that's one of our experiments for this year too, having 2 hybrids. There's 8 rows each and a 16-row planter. So we always start breaking them off, which I hate to do when you're trying to show something, but even where we're digging out, you know, 6-8 inches from that plant, all these little guys, you know, all these little feeder roots, it's all full. So I don't think people realize sometimes corn at this stage is getting all the way to the center of the row. Your roots get out a long ways. See, we got a good circular root mass. Happy with the way they look. They're healthy, nice and, if you can see once you open those, they're nice and white. I only got about half of it out of there, but it's getting on the dry side, but the roots look good. The kernel's still down there, as you can see. See it there? Yeah. Stays there quite a while. So it's coming. I don't know if it's so dry. I always plant them back, but make sure that one will make it, being I busted so many on. I always like to put them back. Anyway, that's about all we got to show here, but this is Mississippi 3. We got our pivots out here, and looks like we're gonna have to make use of them here pretty quick. Like I said, I don't hardly have time right now to getting everything else done, but I'm gonna have to make time pretty quick. It takes me about a day to get these going because there's always rust in the line, and I plug it. Even though I flush and everything, I have to take everyone off my hand with it running and just get completely grounded for about 3 hours. And I'm usually about ready to go in hypothermic shock. If you do it on a day like this, you still freeze your ass off.
Next probably will be a V10 Valtima application.
It's so much more than fungicide.
Goes above and beyond disease control.
Really like the BASF fungicides.
It's a stress mitigator, it's plant health. We have applied a toad on this farm, you know.
Done a great job for me.
Definitely money made.
Yeah, absolutely. See how green this still is?
That's right. It's never too early to be talking about a program anymore.
Farmers deserve a nitrogen that works as hard as they do. One that stays with the crop until the job is done. It's time to turn to a better nitrogen with Pivot Bio.
Posting and you know, he supports me and runs a lot of trials and stuff on our farm.
This is the first year that you looked at Pivot Bio, right here.
This data will tell us that we're still missing that point early and we need X amount of N in that plant at a certain time.
And likely what happens here, a lot of times I think, is this thing will colonize V2, V3, it'll establish itself. And then by the time you've got those small roots on the plant, that nitrate's so mobile, it's actually moving below the root zone, and the plants have to grow a little bit to find that nitrate that moved down.
Yep.
By having the microbe on the roots, it's providing that little bit of nitrogen constantly on the roots.
Well, here we are 3 years deep in our proven trials, and I'm looking at it now as a link between, you know, if I can't get there or we don't have a weather event to put my N where it needs to be, it's that good missing link in the chain that keeps my plant where it needs to be and keeps it at the N levels sometimes that I may want.
Yeah, and I think that's the value of the microbe early.
Well, the some that I've got up here that's stripped, and we'll go look at today, that we stripped the rows. That's where you can see it. You can see 24 rows with it, 24 rows without it.
Our company mission, and we're very, very serious about this, is to reduce our dependence on synthetic nitrogen. There's no doubt about that. Even if you could reduce 15, 20 pounds on 90 million acres of corn, think about the pounds of nitrogen and the impact you could have environmentally by being able to reduce that amount of nitrogen.
All right, let's look at some corn. So what we done here is we decided to take our proven and put it in. A lot of these farms up here, again, we're further away from the house. This is ground that we can't put dry fertility on. We can, but we don't know if we're gonna have it. They're doing construction all the way around us. We're on a year-to-year basis with it, so we do a lot of foliar feeding. It's definitely, the appetite is a liquid diet. That's what I say. The beans or the corn, I put it on a liquid diet. We treat it with K, we treat it with P, we treat it with N. So this one here, we went every other 24 rows with proven 40, and then I just pulled the wheel off. No proven 40. And we went back to back to back all the way down through here. And then we turned around and laid back in and put it back on and put it back in. And a lot of times you can't see. Me and Dan, it's very hard to always see this. You can see it we see it in mass weight, in the weight of the plant, or we'll see it in the tissue samples. But when the fertility is where it needs to be a lot of times, management practice, a lot of times I'm over nitrated, you don't really see it as much. But on this situation, with a no-till situation, it's a colder maybe type soil, there's no straw removed, we can see it.
So Chad, this is the split of treated versus non-treated.
Yep.
Non-treated's on the left.
Correct.
24 rows there, treated on the right. And the first thing you see if you span 24 rows this way versus 24 rows this way, especially as you begin to get about right here, you see corn about right here, and then you come over here, and it's just bigger, greener, healthier corn.
Yep.
No doubt.
This corn has pivot bio on it as well. If it's our irrigated corn, we have pivot bio on it. It's that chain for me. If I miss in production, it's kind of like I'm using it more or less as an insurance policy, you know, to keep that nitrogen in the plant. We know it puts pounds in the plant throughout the season, and we know it puts weight in the plant. So any of those things is going to make yield. You know, our biggest challenges in this field as we started to plant, we come in here and we had the field cleaned up. We had a kind of a dry spell late February, 1st of March. We worked a lot of this ground up, man, it was great. It's in really good shape. Then we got in a wet spell. When we got in that wet spell, here come the weeds again. They took off, but we couldn't get in here to really spray it and keep it pushed down. So we come in here to plant, and we was a month later of wetness. So then when that happened, we had all these weeds. We had to work it again. When we worked it again, we got some clods up. And then when we got the clods up, we couldn't get them back down, and it just started a whole new problem. So, you know, just normal farming problems that we have on different farms every year. And probably should have, you know, hindsight, I would have come in here and maybe even sprayed it with an airplane, you know, sprayed it with a plane or something, but I was needing to plant, it was drying up, the window was there, and so we just worked it again, headed in here to plant. Well, some of it in higher areas of the red soil, in the bottoms, it worked real good. When the higher areas, it pulled up these clods, and then it quit raining. And so then we had really had to slow down. We had seed placement issues because of the cloddy soils that we made on our own. At the end of the year, when you're running your harvester, you can get off and you look at it, and it always goes back. I know I always harp on the planters, but it goes all the way back to what the planter done and how the planter was set and how well the planter done its job. And you can see it here. You know, we look at it here, and as this brace root's starting to come out, well, this stalk size is smaller. When we do our job, all these will be the same. And I know in a perfect world, you know, it would be the same. And you know, when you got a plant, you know, whether it's 500 acres or 1,000 acres or whatever, as a farmer, you want to do the best you can do with every acre. But this is the things we're looking at, you know, and everybody wants to drive down the road and look at how green the corn is or look at how straight the rows are. But this is where the rubber meets the road at. It's down here in this stalk quality, in this spacing, how well the planter done its job, how uniform the stalk sizes are. But us as farmers sometimes expect more yield, and you ask a farmer what he's going to change, and he'll be like, well, I'm probably gonna plant a little earlier. Well, you know, I may try to spray it on time. But you know, look at the things that are hindering you as a farmer, whether it's your placement or whether it's your stalk quality, whether it's the way you done your nitrogen from a pivot bio standpoint or the fertility program and all, and just kind of look at it and go through it and pick one thing and try to get it to where you can fix it, you know, and just fix one thing at a time and just start hacking at it. We got Mark to come down from Concept Agritech.
We like to talk with the growers and get some of that history. That's what gave farmers returns.
We got some of Concept's sweet success. Get that soil biology ramped up.
We're getting a little bit of everything.
So this is the program we'll be running. That's all that's in there.
This corn is just, you know, a day younger than what we looked at over there. Considerably shorter. The other corn was about this tall, but we're gonna stage it. I imagine the stages are gonna be real similar. It's this a more compact plant because of no-till generally. It's basically at the same stage. We're still at V6.5 approximately. Oh, it's a foot shorter, I think, than that other field we were just at. This is also one of our contest fields. Problem with contest fields are they always get too big on you generally. You risk corn going down, gets big. So, and this is all no-till out here. So, and that's generally a little bit shorter anyway, but beautiful color to this field, even today when we're almost 100 degrees. Nice dark green. That's almost perfect is what I would call the way corn should look. So all this corn down here looks really good. I'm real happy with it. So we're gonna need some water, but we got a lot of potential here. Oh, we got a lot of management left. So next week, this will get Y-dropped. We'll hit this with a fungicide pass. It'll get another nutrient foliar pass. This will for sure get 2 fungicide passes. Some of our irrigated corn this year on pivots, we're probably gonna give 3 because tar spot's always a big issue for us and it's a big yield robber. So you can't just throw the checkbook out the window either. You gotta be thinking about cost also. So that's our plans and we're excited to see what happens. So we just walked out here in another one of my experiments for 2022, right? We do quite a few every year, seems like. So I have that twin row Great Plains planter that I bought for beans. But I said, well, geez, if I got this thing, let's try a little bit of corn with it. So I did a field of corn here right by my house. So I kind of keep an eye on it all year. We were just looking at some of my other corn, and this is planted at basically the same population that we just came from on 30-inch rows. Now something I'm noticing right away is, see these double suckers on that one? This one has a sucker. So that's telling me that these plants have got a lot more room, you know? They're pretty happy. What I believe is that, you know, as this corn gets bigger, it's gonna have a lot more room, you know, hopefully to put a bigger ear on, because with those suckers there, it's telling me that I could have forced that population a little bit more. But what we've seen in the past is we haven't really seen big yield gains from that. So what our play is now is just trying to get bigger ears on the stalks we have. So something new for us. We'll see how it works. That's about all I can say right now. I mean, I like the looks of it. It's just got to make sense to me. So stay tuned and we'll show it throughout the year with the rest of the corn.
Next week on Corn Warriors.
It's early to be spraying for stink bugs, but there's enough of them to do it.
You know, we're gonna stay positive.
It's exciting to see what'll come harvest.